What's going on, family? This is Inspired to Be Great, and I am your host, Ron Miles. And listen, family, I'm super excited today. Not only is it that we have a special guest, but at the fact that you tuned in, you decided to open up your ears, open up your hearts, open up your minds, and learn something new. I'm telling you, family, you don't want to miss this show. You want to be here from start to finish. We have a great guest. This young lady who we have on our show today, Miss Kelly Roach, she has done it all. When I say from NFL cheerleader to Fortune 500 exec to now running her own company to the also an author, mother, wife. I mean, you name it. She done it all. I can go on and on and on about her, but I would rather her speak for herself. How are you doing this morning, Miss Kelly?
I am fantastic, and I really appreciate you having me on the show and the kind words to kick things off. Thank you, Ron.
Oh, no problem at all. So, I, like myself and like others, how did you become the lady you are, and how did you get where you are?
Yeah, well, you know what? I think you're onto a big clue with the title of your show, Inspired to Be Great. For me, Ron, it's always been about a pursuit of my highest potential. It's always been about challenging myself to be the best that I could possibly be and to find ways to use the talent and strength that I feel I was given in the best way possible, but always be challenging myself to grow, to become more. And so for me, that's what it's always been about: challenge, opportunity, fulfilling my highest potential, and continuing to grow.
No doubt. I truly respect that, and like I've learned, just reading through some of your bios and getting the opportunity to get to know you, just some of the things that you've went through. I mean, like, how I understand that you always had a passion for dance, but how did your dance turn into you becoming an NFL cheerleader, and then from there to becoming an executive of a Fortune 500 company? Like, how did that all come about?
Yeah, absolutely. So for me, it was kind of a funny story. So, I came from a family, we were like borderline welfare. Like, we were super poor. We didn't have any money. And when I went to college, I had grown up performing competitively, dancing and cheerleading my whole life, and I wanted to continue. But unfortunately, the school that I had chose to go to was the school where I was going to be in the least amount of debt when I graduated, because I knew I was going to be on my own. I knew I was going to have to pay this back. I was like, the last thing I want to do is start my life, carrying all this debt around with me. So I went to the school that had the best financial package, and it just so happened that they didn't have a Division I cheerleading team or dance team. And so it would have been a pretty big step backwards for me. There wouldn't be a challenge or an opportunity to keep growing on the teams at that school. And so I was like, you know what, how could I bring these two things together? This is my passion. This is what I want to continue to pursue. And so I was like, okay, if I can't dance for my school, what would be the next opportunity? And it was either NBA or NFL. And, I found out about the cheerleading tryouts, and it was, a combination of public speaking and doing appearances and dancing and cheering and performing. I was on the stunt team and went through, 6 weeks of grueling, unbelievable, crazy auditions. And I made the team, which was awesome. And, that experience definitely catapulted my career, because you learn so much discipline and maturity, and you have to present in so many ways to different levels of people as a cheerleader. Most people just see you on the field and think that that's it, but they don't realize there's all kinds of media appearances and charity work, and you're dealing with people from CEO to average Joe. So there's a lot to it, and for me, I learned a ton, and I knew I wanted to keep things going in terms of being in front of people, working with people. And as I mentioned already, finances had always been a struggle. So I decided to get into sales and recruiting because I knew there was a huge opportunity for growth, for income earning potential, and for upward mobility. And that's why I pursued the role with the Fortune 500 firm. And, those experiences tied together really well. And I feel like that was a huge catalyst for where I am now in my life and what I'm doing with Kelly Roach Coaching.
Wow, that is awesome, awesome, awesome. You know, I just hearing, like I said, your story and kind of having some of the similarities of not growing up from a wealthy family at all, and me actually, I ended up having to drop out of college because of financial reasons. And I mean, there's a lot of people out there that's like that, where you're asking yourself, do I go to college or do I go and try to finish and end up in debt? Because there's a lot of people who also go that end up with a huge amount of debt and not even working in the field that they got their degree in. So for you to have that knowledge already at a young and figure out understanding the steps that you will need to take to get to where you want to be is absolutely amazing. So how did you go from the Fortune 500 company to Kelly Roach Coaching?
Definitely. So when I started my career, I was very determined to become financially free and to build wealth and to never have to struggle with money again, because that was something I grew up with my entire life. I just didn't want to experience that anymore. So I was the first one in and the last one out, and I was really determined to be successful in my career. And, you know, with sales, it's the kind of thing where you're directly producing money that you're putting on the bottom line. So obviously, if you're a top producer, people are going to take notice because it's propelling the company forward. So very quickly, I was promoted from being, a salesperson in the field to a sales manager. And I applied the same principles of discipline and perseverance and, really pursuing being the best that you can possibly be. I took that from my personal performance to translating it into my leadership style.
Wow.
And that led me to be able to be promoted 7 times in 8 years. I became the youngest senior vice president in the company. And I truly think that a focus on making other people successful, becoming a leader, coaching and developing, helping other people to achieve their goals is the best way to achieve yours. And that was absolutely how I got there, was by building the best team in the company and inspiring them and motivating them to greatness. And my whole job was teaching people how to sell and market themselves, how to present in front of a client, how to have effective closing conversations, and how to believe in themselves. Most importantly, how to believe in themselves, because without that, you can have all the technical and tactical skills in the world, but you're still not going to get results. And so I simply got to a point where I was working, 60 plus hours a week. I was burnt out. I was exhausted. I had no time for family or friends or, fun. And it was like I was making all this money, but there was no time or energy left to spend it. And so I began evaluating my personal belief system, my value system. And what I realized is I had 3 core values, and they were freedom, fulfillment, and financial abundance. And that was what I wanted in my life. And when I realized that, I also came to the conclusion very quickly that I can't be expecting an employer to create that for me. That's not the employer-employee relationship, right? That's not someone else's job to go create that for you. So I was like, okay, how do I do this? What's my passion? What's my talent? And it was teaching people how to build business. It was teaching people how to be their best. It was teaching people how to sell and market and grow their business quickly so they could double or triple their income. And I loved it. And I was so passionate about what I was doing, but I was sick of having to fit myself into someone else's box. And so I decided to take that on the road and, become my own business and start doing coaching and consulting with other businesses and entrepreneurs and aspiring ones to help them follow their dreams and develop the skill set that would be necessary to do that.
Wow. It's so funny because you realize as you get on this entrepreneurial road and the risks that you take and some of maybe the pitfalls and the great moments that you have. But the one common thing that I notice about a lot of entrepreneurs and a lot of top business people is their mindset. And it's funny because you touched on a couple of topics that I talked about before. One, turning your passions into profits, taking something that you're really passionate about, something that you love doing, and decided, I'm going to figure out a way to do this the rest of my life because I love it. And then 2, you said your values, understanding what your core values were and if your values align with your dreams. And the one thing I find a lot of times is that a person's values don't necessarily align with their goals. Like somebody may value sleeping more than actually getting up and going after it. Somebody may value partying or whatever it may be, hanging out with people. more than what they actually want. They have these goals and dreams, but at the same time, their values don't align. And just hearing you say that is like reinvigorating the fire within myself. Like, yes, kind of like saying, and I know you're saying it out there too, family, like, yes, she's speaking all the things that I need to hear right now. So how was it when you first started your business? Was it, what did it just shoot right off with no issues, or did you run into any complications?
No. Oh, it was terrifying. It was a hot mess. It was such hard work. It was just a complete roller coaster of high highs and low lows. And, it's a very humbling experience starting a new business, because especially if you're someone like myself that has spent, a decade building this very successful corporate career, and you're on top of your game, and you're so comfortable in your role and you know it inside and out. Moving into the world of entrepreneurship is like turning your whole world upside down. Every day you have to learn new skills. Every day you have to be willing to fail in order to succeed. Every day something blows up or goes wrong or fails for the first time. And it's just a constant learning process. But once I got that and I understood that the bigger that you're willing to fail, the bigger that you're in the game to succeed. And as soon as I began to understand kind of the ebbs and flows of that and embrace that, that's when the company really took off, because it's getting okay with things not being perfect. And most people can't get past that. And that's why they struggle so much, because they can't get okay with operating and moving forward even when things aren't perfect. If you can let go of that, then that's the point at which you really get yourself in the game to achieve very high levels of success.
You know what? I totally agree with you, everything that you're saying, and the fact that you have that push forward mentality no matter what. Because like you said, I'm run into several different challenges. Sometimes I feel like I just jump right out of a airplane and forgot to bring the parachute with me at times. And other times I feel like I'm the pilot on the airplane, and I'm the one who keeping everything just as nice and calm no matter what. So you do have those ebbs and flows within a business. But what can somebody expect when they link up with you and decide, you know what, I want to come up under your coaching, I want to come up under your tutorship, or so to speak?
Yeah, I think for most people, when you get the right coach, it allows you to embrace that journey and have success so much faster, because, you're working with someone who's already been through it and overcome what it is that you're about to face. And so you have someone all along the way that can tell you what to do when these things happen and how to handle them and how to navigate them, instead of being like totally blindsided and totally overwhelmed and paralyzed when this stuff happens. When you're a new entrepreneur and you're going through it, if you don't have someone that's already come out on the other side, you're constantly asking yourself, wait a second, like, am I even meant to do this? Like, why isn't this working for me? Why is this so hard? These are the questions that goes through everyone's mind as they're coming up through. And, I think just finding a partner and a mentor and a coach that can help you understand how to navigate those things is so critical to keeping moving forward. A lot of people don't make it through those first few years because they try to go at it alone. And, entrepreneurship is something that it's like an untamed beast. It's a wild jungle, and you can't anticipate or be prepared for what you're going to face. And so you really want to link up with people that have been through what you are about to embark on.
Unstoppable. The 9 principles for business and for success in business and life. How did that come about?
Absolutely. So for me, when I started my business, I started off doing one-to-one coaching. And so that's a fairly expensive service. And, there's a lot of people that maybe can't afford that, or, are not in a position to get started with that. And, over the years, I've added courses and masterminds and group coaching and lots of other things. But the purpose behind the book was creating something that was totally accessible to anyone, anywhere, at any budget, at any level of wealth. And, so for $10, you're basically getting the whole breakdown of the roadmap. And the reason why I focused on specifically the 9 principles for business and life is that over the years, as I've worked with key mentors and coaches, as I've interviewed hundreds of successful entrepreneurs, what I've learned is that most people get one or the other, but really struggle to bring both together in a meaningful way, meaning they have a great life that they love, but they're always struggling with money, which brings them stress and unhappiness. Or they, build this great business and they're making lots of money, but they're, really unhappy because they have no time to enjoy life. And for me, growing my business has really been the catalyst for bringing together business and life in a meaningful way, where I wake up in the morning, I'm completely fulfilled and excited about what I'm doing, but we also have financial freedom and have been able to build wealth. And so the message behind the book is how to strategically bring those things together. And it's really focused on simplifying, because what I find is with the age of the internet and with everything accessible online, you would think that this abundance of information would make it cleaner and easier and simpler for people. But what I find is people are actually more confused, more overwhelmed, more paralyzed with information overload. And so the book was really an attempt to help simplify that for people so that they can really understand the key actions that they can take right away, the skill sets that they'll need to develop, and the path forward that's going to allow them to bring together a fulfilling, really good quality life experience, along with building financial freedom and wealth in their own business.
Wow. I'm telling you, family, this is a book you guys want to get out there. You want to get. It's amazing. Just from the some of the excerpts that I've read, some of the pages. When I say it's one of the things that will change not only the way you see your business, but also the way you see your life, and how you could build a solid foundation of understanding how I can have the time and freedom to spend with my family, but also not have to worry about financial stress on the back end of things. I think your book is absolutely wonderful. From the parts that I've read thus far, I haven't got all the way through it, but I just think it's absolutely amazing. So tell us, how did you decide? Okay, you went from cheerleading, we went through the Fortune 500 company. Now you're a successful businesswoman. You have a family. You're an author. What made you decide? Okay, now I want to get into the radio, into the podcasting business. How did that come about?
Definitely. Well, I had been doing podcast appearances on other shows for several years, and I really love public speaking, but I had decided not to pursue speaking on stage because I have a young daughter. I didn't want to be traveling a lot. I didn't want to be away from my family. I mean, one of the reasons I started my business was so that I could be home with my family, so that was the last thing I wanted to do. And podcasting became this great platform for me to connect with people and inspire people and help them to move forward towards their goals. And after being a guest on other podcasts for quite a while, I just realized, hey, it's time for me to give my audience a path, a path that they can follow, something that they can plug into and utilize in their daily lives that is providing a steady stream of my teaching, my content, my support. And I wanted a way to just connect with people in a raw, real, direct way that was continuous. And it was just, podcasting has blown up. Obviously, as you know, it's now surpassed traditional media in terms of launches and book tours and all of those things. And I say this so often, but I really feel like it's one of the best things that I ever did in my business. It's something I wish I had done from day one.
I totally agree. Obviously, by you appearing on my show, which I truly appreciate once again. But I tell you, a lot of the things that you've spoken about, I actually had to live through the constant learning, the overload of information, wondering, do I need to do this? Do I need to do that? Should I buy this software? Should I have this? What do I need to do for my actual business? I mean, it's so much out there, but I love and appreciate how someone in your position makes things easy and accessible for all of us. For those of us who are still babies in this, who are trying to get our feet and actually learn how to walk, to get past the crawling stage, because I feel a lot of people will get from being fed to the crawling stage, but then when it's time to walk and they have their first, they fall for the first time, they don't know how to get back up, and they don't know how to push through that. And I appreciate someone like you in your position, like I said, who makes it simple for us to understand how we can get back up and how we could still push forward, because these are things that's going to happen in business. So I don't want to hold you because I know you're a busy, busy lady. What's some of the golden nuggets that you can leave for people to kind of keep them motivated and inspired to push towards their dreams?
Absolutely. So, first and foremost, just realize that it is a marathon. It is not a sprint. And whatever it is that is your dream of dreams, every overnight success story is 15 years in the making. So if you're falling and you need to get back up, you scrape your knee, you make a mistake, you have a setback, something stands in your way, recognize that that's all part of your story, and it's part of how you're going to teach and how you're going to lead and impact people in the future. So trust the process. Keep fighting for your dreams. Be patient and kind to yourself on the journey. It is a marathon, not a sprint. And just realize that whatever dream you were given that dream for a reason, because you are meant to achieve it. So keep going, keep fighting for it, put yourself out there in a big, bold way, and trust that you'll find your way. And realize that there's all kinds of people out there that are extending a helping hand, that are there to teach you and show you the way.
Well, family, this has been another great edition of Inspired to Be Great. I would like Miss Kelly Roach once again to thank her, but also to, if you could just give people a little bit of information of how you could be found if they wanted some of your services or wanted to get the book or anything of that nature.
Absolutely. So the book is on Amazon, and it also can be found on my website, so www.kellyroachcoaching.com. We have the audio book. We have the physical book. So either one of those, kellyroachcoaching.com, you can grab your copy there. Tune into the podcast if you're a new or aspiring, growing entrepreneur that wants strategy, tips, resources, etc., to help you build your business faster. You can listen to Unstoppable Success Radio. And when you head over to kellyroachcoaching.com, there are 9 different free resources, training videos, audios, downloads, PDFs that are all designed to help you understand what to do and how to do it to grow your business more quickly. So if there's one thing you do at the end of the show, go to kellyroachcoaching.com, pick something that matches the next step for you, and get started right away.
No doubt. Listen, family, like she said, go over to kellyroachcoaching.com. Please, please, please. When I tell you your life will be changed, when I tell you you'll get a wealth of information and you will find how simple this is. Don't get me wrong. It's still some hard things you're going to come across. It's still some battles, some uphill challenges you have to face. Why? Because at the end of the day, it's still work. But when you're doing what you love, when you find your passion, when you understand what your purpose is, it makes it so simple, so easy, and enjoyable for you to do each and every day. Family, this has been Inspired to Be Great. And once again, like I said, I want to thank Miss Kelly Roach for her time and coming on to the show. With that being said, family, remember, greatness only happens when you make good the enemy of great. Have a good one.